Hello, everyone, and welcome to the English Story Nook. We are so happy you have joined us today for another chance to learn English through a wonderful story. Today, we're diving into a story about a very modern problem that turns into a puzzling mystery. Get ready to discover what happens when the internet suddenly stops working in an apartment building, and the person who can fix it seems to have vanished. In this exciting episode, you will learn about how a curious neighbor tries to uncover the truth behind this strange situation. Before we dive into today's adventure, if you enjoy our stories here at the English Story Nook and want to support what we do, please take a moment to give this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss out on new content. And if you're feeling extra supportive, you can consider buying us a coffee. There's a link in the description below. Every like, subscription, and small contribution truly helps us keep creating great content for English learners like you. We appreciate your support so much. And now, let's get started with the story. The Wi-Fi is gone, and so is he. Nisha Khan stared at the unresponsive Wi-Fi icon on her laptop with a growing sense of unease. In her modern apartment building, reliable internet was as ubiquitous as running water. A flicker of annoyance turned into genuine concern when she realized this wasn't just her connection. The entire building's network, managed by their resident tech whiz Nolan Tawfiq, was down. More unsettlingly, Nolan himself, usually a prompt responder to any digital cry for help, was uncharacteristically silent. His door, just 2 down from hers, remained stubbornly shut, no friendly glow seeping from beneath it. It was unlike him. Nolan, with his kind eyes and encyclopedic knowledge of all things digital, was a comforting presence in their interconnected lives. If he hadn't fixed the Wi-Fi by now, something was amiss. This was the beginning of a peculiar conundrum for Nisha, one that went far beyond a simple internet outage. Nisha, a graphic designer who often worked from home, relied heavily on that ubiquitous connection. After several fruitless attempts to reach Nolan via text and calls, a knot of worry tightened in her stomach. She had a spare key to his apartment, a reciprocal arrangement for emergencies, like watering plants or, ironically, resetting a router. Hesitantly, she let herself in. Nolan's apartment was neat, almost clinically so, except for a single sheet of paper on his usually clear desk. It wasn't a note, but a printout filled with what looked like complex code and diagrams, utterly esoteric to her. Beside it, a high-end data storage device, one she'd never seen before, lay disconnected. What if Nolan had stumbled upon something he shouldn't have? The thought made her increasingly circumspect about the situation. It was then that Nisha decided this was more than a technical glitch. Nolan's disappearance and the dead Wi-Fi were linked, and she felt compelled to understand how. Her initial attempts to find information were met with polite but firm resistance. Nolan worked for a company called Agile Cygnus Trega Systems, a name that sounded impressively dull. When she called their HR department, feigning a message delivery, the response was perfunctory and unhelpful. They confirmed he hadn't shown up for work, but offered no further details, citing privacy concerns. Nisha knew she had to be more creative. She remembered Nolan mentioning a colleague he sometimes had coffee with, Lisha May Amar. Perhaps Lisha could shed some light on Nolan's recent activities. Finding Lisha on a professional networking site wasn't difficult, and Nisha decided it would be best if she were to liaise with her directly, but carefully. Lisha agreed to meet, her voice tinged with a similar concern for Nolan. They met at a small cafe, the aroma of coffee a stark contrast to the digital void Nisha was experiencing. Nolan was working on something big, Lisha confided, her eyes darting around as if expecting to be overheard. He called it Project Nightingale, Very hush-hush. He said it involved sifting through vast amounts of data, looking for anomalies. Lisha explained that englishlisteningpractice systems, despite its prosaic public image, handled sensitive data for various influential clients. Nolan had seemed stressed lately, more withdrawn. He'd even mentioned feeling like he was being watched, though he'd quickly dismissed it as paranoia. This revelation made Nisha even more circumspect. The situation felt less like a mystery and more like something potentially dangerous. She wondered if Nolan had inadvertently uncovered one of these anomalies, and it had led to his disappearance. Back in her apartment, Nisha examined the esoteric printout from Nolan's desk again. The complex symbols and lines of code meant little to her, but she decided to juxtapose them with information she could find online about data security and encryption. Hours passed in a blur of research. She learned about data anonymization techniques and how they could be reversed under certain conditions. Could Nolan have found a flaw, a backdoor into supposedly secure information? The thought was chilling. As she delved deeper, she noticed a faint, almost invisible watermark on the printout. A tiny, stylized bird. A nightingale? It had to be a clue. What if Nolan had left this behind intentionally, knowing someone like her might find it? Suddenly, her own laptop, which had been stubbornly offline, flickered. A single encrypted file appeared on her desktop. It was from Nolan. Her heart pounded. The file was locked, requiring a password. She tried everything: his birthday, his cat's name, nightingale. Nothing. Then, looking at the printout again, she noticed a sequence of numbers highlighted subtly within the code. She surreptitiously typed them in. Access granted. Inside was a detailed explanation. Nolan had discovered that englishlisteningpractice systems wasn't just handling data. A rogue element within the company was exploiting a vulnerability to access and sell sensitive information. He had gathered proof but knew he was being monitored. The Wi-Fi outage hadn't been accidental. It was a targeted move to isolate him, or perhaps a side effect of his own attempts to secure his findings before he was forced to go offline. He had inadvertently triggered a broader system alert when trying to back up his evidence. The file also contained his location, a small rented cabin outside the city he'd prepared as a contingency. He urged her to liaise with a trusted journalist whose contact details he provided, someone who could handle the information responsibly. It was a huge conundrum. Go to the police, who might be slow or disbelieving, or trust this journalist. She decided Nolan's plan was the most direct. The journalist, a seasoned investigative reporter named Rana Anandpur Sahib, was initially skeptical, but agreed to meet when Nisha mentioned Project Nightingale and englishlisteningpractice systems. The way Nisha managed to juxtapose the technical details with Nolan's personal predicament convinced him. Within hours, things moved quickly. Rana, using his resources, confirmed parts of Nolan's story. He contacted the authorities with a more credible and well-supported case than Nisha could have presented alone. The following morning, Nolan was located, safe but shaken. He'd managed to stay one step ahead of those who realized he knew too much, using his technical skills to leave a trail only someone like Nisha, with her access and concern, might follow. The rogue employees at englishlisteningpractice systems were soon under investigation, their surreptitiously conducted operations brought to light. The company, forced into damage control, issued a perfunctory statement about cooperating fully with authorities. A week later, the Wi-Fi was back, stronger than ever. Nolan, looking tired but relieved, knocked on Nisha's door. "I owe you more than just fixed internet," he said, a genuine smile finally returning to his face. If you hadn't been so persistent, well, I dread to think what might have happened. It's good to know someone has your back. A sense of camaraderie, forged in the crucible of those anxious days, now existed between them. Life in their apartment building slowly returned to its normal, digitally connected rhythm. Yet, for Nisha, the internet was no longer just a prosaic utility. She understood that beneath the surface of everyday technology lay complexities and, sometimes, dangers. But she also knew that human connection and courage could unravel even the most tangled digital webs. The shared experience had created a bond, a quiet understanding that transcended their previous neighborly acquaintance, proving that true connection wasn't just about bandwidth. Nisha often thought about the ephemeral nature of digital security and how quickly a situation could change. The camaraderie she now shared with Nolan was a comforting constant in an ever-evolving technological landscape. They even joked about starting a neighborhood watch for digital anomalies, a testament to their shared adventure. And that's the end of our story for today. What would you have done if you were in Nisha's situation? Or perhaps, what's the longest you've gone without Wi-Fi, and how did it feel? We'd love to hear your thoughts, so please share them in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the story, please do give the video a like. Remember, you can also find helpful resources, like a free PDF of this story, to practice your English in the description box. Thank you so much for joining us at the English Story Nook today. We hope you enjoyed the story and learned some new things. Keep practicing your English, keep exploring, and we look forward to welcoming you back for our next story. Happy learning, and goodbye for now.